What's up? Welcome to the RTC Fitness YouTube channel. This is the third video in everyone's favorite YouTube video series, The Road to Blue Belt. Today I'm talking about my perspective, my experience with doing one-on-one coaching or private Jiu Jitsu lessons. Now, I'm in a very fortunate position to be good friends with Jeremy Skinner, a Polaris BJJ athlete. Jeremy does some private coaching, and I'm fortunate enough to be one of his private jiu-jitsu coaching clients. So I just wanted to jump on and talk about, first of all, my experience with private coaching or private lessons, whether I think that is going to be valuable, whether I recommend it to other brand new white belts starting out jiu-jitsu like myself. So the reason I personally decided that private lessons are the way ahead for me is I'm a very much all or nothing type of guy. I like to take things pretty, all or nothing, seriously, if you will. So I wanted to jump in and give it my everything. One of my biggest regrets for exercise and particularly lifting weights early on is not getting a personal trainer early enough. And I spent probably about 12 months training in the gym before I got myself a few personal training sessions with another good friend of mine who's a personal trainer. And it really did help to accelerate my weightlifting and exercise journey in general. And it's something that I wish that I engaged in earlier, because I did spend probably the first 12 months fluffing about, not really knowing what I was doing wrong, what I was doing right, and what programming really should look like. Do I think that everyone that is starting out jiu-jitsu should go out and get some private lessons? Not necessarily. First up, they can be fairly expensive. They don't run cheap. Anywhere from, I'd say, $80 to $150 per session is the ballpark of what you're likely to pay. So I think that it's not necessarily suitable or required by everyone, particularly if finances are an issue. But if money's not an issue for you and you want to step up your jiu-jitsu game like I'm trying to do, then I highly recommend that you check out some private lessons. And by all means, do one. If it's not for you, then you can always cut it away. There's no obligation here. So to get the absolute most out of my private sessions with Jeremy, first and foremost, I'm filming them. Now, I've obviously asked Jeremy for permission to do this first. I didn't just rock up with the camera, but all I do is set up a wide angle lens on a tripod with my camera and film the session. After the session, I watch back and can see the technique that Jeremy taught me, so I can be reminded of what we went through. The second thing I do is immediately when I come home, and I spoke about this in the first video I did in this series, is I write everything down. I write down what we went through, the sequences, Jeremy's emphasis points, like the little tidbits that I remember, to try and jog my memory and be a reference that I can look back on in the future throughout the next coming week when I'm going to my normal classes. And the third thing I do to get the absolute most out of my sessions with Jeremy is I drill what Jeremy taught me. Now, I grab a good friend of mine, Zach Ward, who is also just starting jiu-jitsu as well. So we're both on a very similar level. So it's quite beneficial for both of us. I showed Zach what Jeremy showed me, and then we drill it over and over and over again meticulously. They say the best way to learn is to teach. So by teaching Zach and showing Zach the techniques that I just was taught, and by practicing them with him, it's enabling me to solidify what is taught in my mind and drill it over and over and over again, because repetition equals mastery. And the fourth thing I do is during the week, the upcoming week, because I get my private lessons with Jeremy on the weekends. During the week, for the classes that I attend, I emphasize trying to put myself in the positions that Jeremy showed me. For example, at the moment, we are focusing on my guard, specifically we're learning Z guard or Z guard, and I'm learning different sequences that you can move to, different submissions that you can move to from Z guard. So that's what my emphasis is at the moment. So when I go to roll with my training partners at my gym, I'm trying to put myself in Z guard so that I can practice what I drilled and practice what Jeremy taught. And the final thing I do to get the absolute most out of my private lessons with Jeremy is during the week after each roll, I write down all the stopping points, all the struggle points, all the issues that I had with the pulling off the particular technique that Jeremy was trying to teach me. So by doing this, I can address any real world stopping points that maybe didn't come up when I was drilling because I had a partner that was very accommodating. But when I tried to bring that to a roll, to an actual sparring match, maybe it didn't work out. Maybe a specific point I keep getting stuck on with the technique. So I'll bring that up, and that will be the start of our next private lesson. So we address that first, I can take that away again, and then we layer over on top with a different technique, or maybe practice different variants of a technique we've already done. So that's my 5-step approach to trying to get the absolute most out of my private lessons with Jeremy. And I highly recommend that if you're like me, you're a white belt just starting out and you're thinking about, or maybe you're on the fence of doing some private lessons already. I mean, I've only had a couple with Jeremy so far, but it's already made the world of difference in my jiu-jitsu game. And this is as a no-stripe white belt. So again, take everything that you're hearing with a grain of salt, but I recommend you give it a go if you can afford it and if it's something that you're looking into. So to wrap it up, I have some footage of my previous session with Jeremy. I'm going to talk you through some things that Jeremy has been showing me so I can keep you guys up to date with what I'm learning in my jiu-jitsu journey. Hope you dig it. The first thing Jeremy showed me was the introduction to the Z guard. So that's just what Jeremy is demonstrating here. And he's trying to illustrate the point that you really need to, when you have the Z guard, is break the posture and stretch them out. Control the other wrist, as you can see him doing, so he can transition into a triangle choke. We covered triangle choke in our very first lesson, so this ties in nicely as a sequence to use for the Z guard. And I know Jeremy likes to play Z guard quite a bit, so he's an excellent person to ask. So he's just demonstrating again some standing entry into the Z guard. I asked him what do you do when the opponent tries to approach standing. The response was reverse de la Riva. So we did go in reverse de la Riva later on in the session, but this is just me giving it a go, trying to stretch Jeremy out so I can transition to the triangle choke. As you can see here, he did say that you do need to pin the shoulder with the top leg, so I've given that a go best I can. And I've been having issues with people trying to posture up on me during rolls, so I can't get the triangle. And basically the response to this is to try and transition into an armbar, which Jeremy is showing me how to do here. So I hope you guys like this style of video. Please feel free to hit the thumbs up, drop a subscribe, and stay tuned for the next video.